Hi guys, welcome to Make 2 and this review of the LEGO Modular Building Pet Shop. This is set number 10218 and it was released in 2011 and comes with a total of 2,032 pieces for a price of $150. And with a few minifigs with a traditional classic smiley face, as they will do in this series. This is unique in all of the modular buildings to date, and it's actually two buildings in one. It's on two base plates, so what starts off looking like this splits into this. And you can put either building on either side, which is really nice. And I really like how they've captured on the left-hand side this classic narrow townhouse, and on the right-hand side a small little shop on a high street, and then there's an apartment on top. So I'll give you a quick spin of each building in turn so you can get a sense of how they're both built. Unsurprisingly, given these two join, you get a huge plain wall there, but you get a ton of these 1x6 reddish brown bricks, which is really nice. You just get a lovely facade. The back's quite nice, relatively simple in terms of design, nothing too fancy in terms of strange techniques, but it still comes across really nicely. Another plain side here. And coming around to the front, which here is definitely the star of this particular building. But even though, apart from this, which is very impressive, this technique is really nice, other bits here, down here is really good. It's relatively straightforward, but I don't think that takes away from the enjoyment for the building at all. Now with the pet shop you get a little bit more colour variation. These lovely soft blues accented with tan. Again, as with the townhouse, the highlight is the front, very plain size, but you again get a lot of these 1x4s, 1x6 bricks in this lovely blue. Windows in tan around the back, some accents here, which are nice, a little bit of roofing, a little bit of detailing, but pretty simple altogether. But there's nothing wrong with that. I think what I like about this is that it's making a building, it looks realistic, it doesn't have to do anything incredibly fancy, but it still looks good, it still feels very natural, very fitting. At the front of the pet shop, there are some nice little displays of bones and what I think is a nice red cuddly toy. The most impressive thing for the front is this brick-built pets sign made of plates and a couple of bricks built sideways, right way up. So you've got some snot techniques, and everything is attached to the back using a series of clips, which just is really clever and satisfying to build, and a nice way of building letters for you to try and replicate for yourself. Off to the right of the building there's a stairway up to the second floor, and you can see this nice large globe piece for a light, and that actually swivels a little bit backwards and forwards, I'm not quite sure why. And above that there's a dark grey frog used just as a nice decorative element, which is a clever use of this part in a nice different colour. There's not much to speak of around the back, other than to point out just behind this rat's tail you can see just about a little hole, and we'll come to that in a minute. It looks like a little round mouse or rat hole. Inside the pet store, there, right by the windows, are a pair of really prettily coloured parrots, and behind them on a shelf a collection of squeaky toys. You have a frog there in yellow, and some other small brick-built parts which I think are meant to represent either cuddly toys or food or other snacks and things for the pets. In front of that is a little cash register, and using one of those antenna pieces in a clever way to kind of replicate that lever arm for acknowledging a sale. At the back of the store behind the parrots and the cash register is a cat. You can see this little cat pen. The cat is poised, looking carefully out of that little hole, and this is the same hole we saw from the back. So it's a really nice little touch. You have a cat peering out through the mouse hole, seeing the mouse or rat on the other side, and just desperate, obviously, to get hold of it. On the far side of the back is a brick-built fish tank. Now this fish is rather oversized, and I think it would be a little bit claustrophobic inside this tank, but it still gives a sense of, you know what it is, and if LEGO made tiny fish, then I'm sure they would have put those in there too. Finally, in the pet store, we have one more little stand for an animal, and that's a dog with a little bone there. You can see him or her looking out through the glass as I lift these stairs out of the way. And these stairs do actually rotate down as well as up. So when down, obviously you can go up the stairs, and when up, you can get a better view inside the pet shop. But when the stairs are down, you can then work your way up the stairs to the second floor, and this reveals sort of 2 stories of 1.5-story apartment. As you come in, it's got a tiny little kitchen and a cute little fireplace, and at the kitchen you can just see it's got a stove, a tiny sink, and right at the end there, a really cool little coffee machine. I don't think you've got it any smaller, but you know exactly what it is by looking at it. There's a single chair which you can rotate around a little bit because it's just attached by one stud, and a table that's built out of the wall. So this is kind of the work, coffee, eating area, and I think of this as kind of like where the pet shop owner would live, maybe after a hard day's work, or maybe anybody else. As I said, it's a 1.5-story, not quite 2-story apartment, because though there's stairs up to the second floor, it's really a mezzanine level. So while you can get a good sense, it has a good sense of height to it. At the top, all there is just a simple bed made out of some nice different coloured tan bricks. You get a sense of patterning, and you can sort of see the white for the pillow and that big tan headboard at the back, and a little lamp just to illuminate things. I think this is really nice, and incorporating mezzanines in houses I think works really well. It gives a good sense of space, and I think makes good use of the space without it feeling cluttered by having to create just a very tiny amount of space for the stairwell. From the outside of this mezzanine level, just to point out, though these windows that are at the front are actually very simply made, there are no particular fancy techniques other than that clip piece and an upside down clip with a cone piece in it. I think it works really well. It's straightforward, normal building, but done really well, even with that slightly offset slope pieces for the black bit of the roof. Just works nicely and gives you a good sense of texture and style. Just at the top here you can see that there's a skylight down into the bedroom in the flat below. The townhouse is actually a much more intricate build, certainly in terms of impressive techniques, I think, than the pet shop. They're both really good, but this just has a sense of quality to it that I think matches with what is supposed to be a more luxurious place. First of all, you have a postbox, a letterbox built in to the wall. You can see it opens and closes, and inside they give you a letter. A nice green front door, which I think is really pretty, and above the door, this is a really nice build. It's got white snowshoes and just building some slope pieces on the side, from each side, and they fit together really nicely. But that's not really the star of the show. The star of the show are these bay windows. An awful lot of hinge pieces, and it's nice to get so many hinge pieces in a set. And as we saw before, those upside down turned dome pieces, and it's just done in a really clever way how they slot in perfectly, so there's absolutely no wiggle, and then on top you build these hinged windows, and I think that's really nice. At the back, because this is all slightly elevated, they've actually made good use of the space, well, some use at least of the space underneath. You can see there's a trapdoor here, which opens up and reveals inside. It's just a big empty space, so maybe that's where the plumbing would be. But I think it's nice that they have included something there, and you can access it from inside too. Inside on the first floor, there's a cool little coat stand and a cute little table that's built into the bay window, and you can see there how the dome pieces are upside down. You get a sense of them there. So it's actually pretty clever too how they managed to attach that table where they have, so it kind of does cover up the window area. This is a really lovely sofa that they've built into this first floor. It really does tie the room together. Next to it is this tiny little table with a coffee mug, which is a table, but also a handle for us as the big people to lift up that hatch and reveal, as you can see, inside, that is the entrance to the basement, to the work area underneath, and there's a little ladder for you to get inside as well. You can get a better sense of this really cool staircase, which is kind of normal stairs and then quickly turns into a spiral staircase, which uses a mix of Technic pieces and studs and tiles, and I think is really nice. This is another highlight for me, and I also think really sets this building in sort of a time period, not necessarily the 80s or 70s or 90s, but it does just give a sense of style and quality, and it's just a little brick-built phone. I think it's only made of 4 pieces, all in black, including that black lightsaber. You know exactly what it is by looking at it, even if nowadays they're a little bit out of date. And what's that door? Well, that door is to a little washroom. There's a tiny little toilet in there. I don't think there's a sink. So in the current 2015 modded building, with I think a couple of extra studs wide maybe, they've actually built a toilet that also has a sink and some toilet paper, so a little bit more complete. But it's really nice to have this, and you can see the floors decorated, which I think is pretty. And it's good to have some of those white Lifebuoy toilet pieces. They're useful for buildings of your own. On the second floor, there's not much to speak of in terms of the exterior. The spiral staircase that came up to the second floor continues all the way around in wonderful fashion to the top floor. You can see kind of the Technic plate they used there to build it. Now, the second floor is a work in progress, not by me, but by the people who are, I think, about to move into this place. And it's being redecorated. And here you can see the painter painting the wall. And it's a cool technique. There's a paintbrush, and they've just put a 2x4 tile over a single stud, and that comes off, and you can put it back on, and then it reveals the space underneath. It just shows off, oh, look, you really get a sense of, yeah, this is somebody painting a wall. And here you can see there's the paint pot and the paint tray for dipping the paint the builder's brush into. For the top floor, there's a very simple flat roof. You've got still a nice little few touches here and there, and this cute little chimney. But at the back, you also get an outside garden. I think this is really, really nice. You get a few little vegetables growing, a few little flowers, and just a nice area to sit. It just feels really relaxed and cute. And you can see too, they have some stained glass windows and this little lamp. I think that's a really nice touch. At the front, they've also added another cool feature, which are these windows, these sort of big bay windows, which you can use to walk out and take a little look outside into the neighborhood. And these are also built on hinge pieces, as they've done for the bay windows for the main part of the building. And they've also given you these tile pieces you can use for opening one window, opening both, or closing them both. And I think that's really nice. So here's just an overview of the top floor. There's not much in there because people haven't yet moved in. There's just the bare bones of the place. And just to point out that down at the bottom, you can see there are some packing crates with obviously some things that need to be unpacked for the people to move in. So that's my review of the Lego modular building pet shop. 2 buildings in one. Really useful for placing in different parts of the street. You can put them either this way around, pet shop on the left, pet shop on the right, put them together, separate them with different modular buildings in between. I think it's a really useful addition to any modular building street. A number of interesting building techniques used throughout, particularly on things like the windows on the townhouse, the pet store sign on the pet shop, and I just think they work really well. They're really solid, good quality buildings that, well, to be honest, I'd like to live in. I'd love to know what you think, so please do let me know in the comments below. And if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and stay tuned to our channel because more LEGO reviews will be on the way soon. Thanks for watching.